Welcome to my channel, Soul Cycles. I'm Elaine Kuzmeskus, a professional astrologer, and today my topic is going to be the sign of Gemini. People born between May 21st and June 20th, approximately, of any given year are born under the sign of Gemini. Gemini is the sign of the twins, and they have lots of energy and vitality. The key word for Gemini is I think. And we've had some very famous and perhaps not so famous people born under the sign of Gemini. Arthur Conan Doyle, the writer and the creator of Sherlock Holmes, was a Gemini. And he was also a very generous spiritualist, spending over $1 million helping people to learn more about life after death. We have Michael J. Fox. We have John F. Kennedy, our Gemini president, very intelligent. Bob Dylan, pretty witty. Walt Whitman, a bit seedy, but very fine poet. And we have John Wayne, who I think of him more like a Taurus Bill, but he was a Gemini. Liam Neeson, Johnny Depp, and also Mark Wahlberg are our Geminis. Our Gemini ladies are Marilyn Monroe. Judy Garland, to me, seems very Gemini. She was that beautiful singing voice, and sometimes she seemed like two people in the same body. We also have Winona Judd. Alice Bailey. Now, that's someone who's not so famous. Alice Bailey was known for her channeled books. She channeled 21 books from her Tibetan guide. And she was a typical Gemini, busy, mother of 3 young girls, and she had a spirit guide that asked her to work with him. She said, I couldn't possibly. I'm too busy with my girls. And her spirit guide said, well, Mrs. Bailey, you sit for a few hours every afternoon and we'll work with you. And her books are wonderful. Brooke Shields, Kate Upton, Isabella Rossellini, and all of these people were very good communicators. One thing about the same sign of Gemini, they are absolutely never boring. They have a lot to say, and sometimes they have too much to say. They could be chatterboxes. They make good salespeople, teachers. They're very good at communications, and they like to move around. Some of them do very well in the trucking industry as being very important. Well, our Gemini of the month is Marcia Moore, who is a very well-known Boston author and astrologer. And Marcia said the only thing you take with you when you go through the pearly gates are that which you've given away. So she was generous, she was good-hearted, and very intelligent. She was born on May 22nd, 1928 at 9:10 a.m. in Cambridge, Massachusetts. She came from a very well-to-do family. Her father, Robert Moore, started the Sheraton hotel chain back in the Depression. He was a Harvard graduate and a very fine businessman. He saw the value in having a hotel chain at a time when people weren't doing too much traveling. But pretty soon we had the war effort going on in the 1950s, and the hotel business flourished. Well, Marcia has her sun at 1 degree of Gemini. So she just is at the beginning of the sign. And it's in the 11th house of friends and hopes and wishes. I'll tell you something about astrology. The chart is divided into 12 sections. And the 11th house often is profit that you brought over from past lives or perhaps from your family. So she came in with a bit of abundance in her life. She was also a natural spiritual seeker. She was interested in astrology. She was attracted to reincarnation, and she visited India several times. Her mother was a theosophist. She was a very strong believer in the mystical side of life. So she also had a hidden square to her sun, to Neptune, which meant that she was sensitive, she was interested in intuition, and she had a pretty good inner life, shall we say. Now, it was important to Marcia to use her mind. She had Mercury opposite Saturn, so she was very detailed, When she wrote books, she would spend 2, 3, 4 years researching her books and made sure everything was exactly as it should be. She also was a person that was very well proportioned and extremely fit because of all the yoga that she practiced. And she taught many people in the Boston area yoga, including Jess Stern, who wrote the book Yoga, Youth, and Reincarnation. And he found Marcia Moore to be a delightful person and enjoyed spending 6 weeks with her family in Concord, Massachusetts, as he became part of the ashram, shall we say. And he would talk about how people would drop by for yoga classes and how the children would be involved and how very busy and extremely helpful Marcia was to people in her community. Marcia also had a very famous family. Besides her father, who was a business magnate, she had a famous brother, Robin Moore, who wrote The Green Berets and also The French Connection, which is one of my favorite movies. He also was well known for his ability to do research as well. Now, Marcia had an interesting combination in her house of career, which is the 10th house. She had Uranus, the planet of astrology, on the 10th house, and exactly on top of the 10th house at the highest point of the chart. So she was a person perfect for the New Age, full of New Age ideas and metaphysics. The planet Mars in her chart is in Aries at about 6 degrees, and it does conjunct Uranus, but it straddles the 10th house of career and the 9th house of foreign travel. And she did do quite a bit of foreign travel, very interested in other countries and other people lived, which is important. Well, Uranus is exactly conjunct her midheaven, or at the highest point of her chart. And that's a planet for the New Age, for astrology and metaphysics. It conjuncts Mars in 6 degrees of Aries. And Mars is very well placed in the sign of Aries, which is perfect for a yoga teacher. Now, in a woman's chart, the moon is very important. And Mars may be in Aries, but Marcia had her moon in the sign of Cancer, plus a Cancer ascendant. She was very close to her family and her roots in New England, especially the Concord area. And family history was important to Marcia. She had the moon in very good aspect to Venus, and she was a person that was an inspiration to women, both women astrologers and yoga teachers. And she also had the moon square Uranus, so it gave her that extra energy that she needed to do all that she accomplished, but it also made her want to be out of the world more. So her moon making good aspects to Venus shows a love of home and family, and the moon square Uranus says, I've got to get out of town and do new things. And that was Marcia. She had very strong desires for travel, for philosophy, for being open to new experiences, which is important. And that may be why she married 4 times. She certainly was a person that would want stability in relationships with her Venus in the sign of Taurus. Now, Venus is in its own sign in Taurus, which is a person that values home, family, making a nest, and having stability, which is good too. Now, we also find that in Marcia's chart, she had an aspect where her moon made an aspect to her unconscious mind in the 12th house. And she had a lot of mystical experiences and was quite intuitive. In fact, she had a fascination with India and also with ancient Egypt. And she would say to her friends sometimes, perhaps I was an Egyptian priestess in a past life. She may well have been. She also had an interesting life. She traveled, she wrote, she lectured, she was wonderful with the media, and she was a person that had so much energy and vibrancy that it's very sad that her life ended at 49 when she was a victim of murder. We never really found out who, when, or how it happened, but we do know it was a sad way to go for such a fine person. Her legacy, though, is still with us. Marcia had a wonderful mind. She had her Mercury sextile Jupiter, so she enjoyed travel, and Mercury making a good aspect to Neptune, so she had creativity and original ideas. Whatever she undertook, she did with a great deal of passion as she had the Mars conjunct Uranus, and she also had a very strong desire to be of help to other people, with Jupiter in good aspect to her Neptune in Leo. It gave her a magnetic personality. It is sad indeed that someone so vibrant, with so much to give, should become a victim of murder in January of 1979. Wise, compassionate, and generous, Marcia truly believed the only thing that we take with us when we go through the pearly gates is that which we have given away. And she gave wonderful gifts of her books, Astrology, the Divine Science, and Astrology in Action. And they're both filled with wisdom, both from astrology and also Eastern philosophy. I hope you've enjoyed getting to know Marcia Moore, one of our great astrologers. And in future episodes, I'll be talking about some of our great mediums, metaphysicians, philosophers, and their astrological chart. If you'd like to know more about astrology or metaphysics, please go to my website, www.theartofmediumship, which I have an astrology blog that I update monthly, and also take a look at the media section, which we have videos and lectures and articles that I've written that may be of interest to you. Thank you for joining me. I look forward to sharing more astrology with you.